It is sitting in your kitchen right now. You reach for it every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. You have been reaching for it for years, specifically because you believed it was a safe choice, the healthy option, the smart decision for your heart. And it is quietly driving more heart attacks, more strokes, and more cases of heart failure than most people will ever connect to what they ate for breakfast this morning. Here is the part that is hardest to say. The damage is not coming from the obvious villains, not from the things you already fear. It is coming from foods the industry has spent billions of dollars training you to trust. Foods with labels that say healthy, light, heart-friendly, natural, even doctor recommended. If you are over 50, this matters more than it ever has before. Your arteries do not recover the way they did at 35. Your blood vessels are less elastic, your pressure regulation is more sensitive, your heart muscle has less margin for repeated daily stress. So when the wrong ingredient hits your system again and again, morning after morning, it does not just add calories. It pushes your body into a chain reaction that slowly hardens, inflames, and destabilizes your cardiovascular system. Until one morning, one random afternoon, your chest tightens, your arm goes numb, your speech slurs, and your life splits into before and after. In the next 15 minutes, I am going to show you exactly what this ingredient is and why specialists consider it more destructive than most people realize. The specific way the food industry hides it under dozens of different label names, the 10 so-called healthy foods where it is most commonly buried, what it does inside your arteries step by step, and a clear 4-week plan that helps you reduce it without feeling like your entire life has to change overnight. I have spent years working with older adults whose cardiovascular damage did not come from what they thought it came from. And this information could genuinely protect the health of someone you love, including yourself. Before we go any further, I want to ask you something. Drop a comment right now with just the number of packaged foods you ate yesterday. Just the number, nothing else. I want to see who is watching this, because what I am about to share applies very differently depending on whether that number is 2 or 12 or something you have never stopped to count before. And if you have ever noticed that you feel bloated or sluggish specifically after eating something labeled low fat or heart healthy, add the word bloated to your comment. That symptom is not random. It is directly connected to what I am about to explain. Here is what is happening in kitchens and grocery stores across the country every single morning. A 64-year-old woman wakes up and makes what she considers a responsible breakfast. Low-fat fruit yogurt from the health aisle, a glass of orange juice, 100% natural, no sugar added, a handful of granola, the kind with whole grains on the label. She has been eating this exact breakfast for 3 years because her doctor told her to watch her fat intake. She feels good about herself. She is being careful. What nobody told her is that her breakfast contains between 45 and 60 grams of added sugar before she has left the kitchen. Her pancreas fires a large insulin response before 8 in the morning. Her liver begins converting excess fructose into fat particles that enter her bloodstream. Her triglycerides, already elevated at her last checkup, climb higher. By lunchtime, her energy crashes. She reaches for a whole grain energy bar to get through the afternoon. Another 18 grams, another insulin response. By the time she sits down to dinner, her cardiovascular system has been under biochemical stress for 14 hours straight. And every single food that caused it had a health claim on the label. This is not a rare case. It plays out millions of times every day, and it is entirely preventable once you understand what you are actually reading on those labels. The research connecting high added sugar intake to cardiovascular disease has been building for over a decade. Major publications, including the Journal of the American Medical Association and Circulation, have documented the connection clearly. But the gap between what the evidence shows and what is communicated to patients in a standard 15-minute checkup remains enormous. Most people are still operating on outdated advice, and that gap is contributing to outcomes that should never have happened. Now, if you are someone who needs to understand the why behind the warning, not just the warning itself, then what I am about to explain is going to give you a completely different framework for thinking about what you eat. Your cardiovascular system at 55 or 65 is not simply an older version of what it was at 35. It has changed in ways that fundamentally alter how your body responds to added sugar. The first change is arterial stiffness. As you age, your arteries gradually lose their elasticity. A young artery expands and contracts with each heartbeat like a healthy rubber band. An older artery is more like a garden hose that has been left in the sun for 2 decades. is. It resists. It does not absorb pressure the way it once did. When added sugar drives up triglycerides and promotes glycation, the stiffening accelerates. The second change is insulin sensitivity. After decades of normal eating patterns, your cells become progressively less responsive to insulin. This means your pancreas has to produce more of it to achieve the same blood sugar clearance. Each sugar spike demands a larger response. That larger response drives more fat storage, more inflammation, and more arterial damage per gram of sugar than the same amount would have caused at 35. The third change is the decline in HDL efficiency. Your HDL cholesterol, the particle that clears arterial deposits, becomes less effective with age. At the same time, added sugar specifically suppresses HDL production. Your cleanup system becomes understaffed precisely when the workload is increasing. These are not minor shifts. They are fundamental biological changes that make the same food meaningfully more dangerous after 50 than it was before. And yet the marketing has never changed. These changes demand a completely different approach, and yet the guidelines most people follow were written without accounting for any of them. Before we get to the foods, you need to understand what added sugar is actually doing inside your arteries, because this is where the real danger lives. And this is the part no one explains clearly. I am not talking about the natural sugar in a piece of fruit. A whole apple contains sugar, but it also contains fiber that slows absorption, polyphenols that support vascular health, and water that helps with satiety. Your body was designed to handle that. I am talking about added sugar deliberately placed into foods that often do not even taste sweet. Bread, pasta sauce, salad dressing, low-fat crackers, whole grain cereals, products that carry heart-healthy seals on the front while quietly listing 4 different forms of sugar in the ingredient panel on the back. Here's what happens inside your body when that sugar enters your bloodstream. Your pancreas releases a rapid burst of insulin to clear the glucose. In a young insulin-sensitive person, this is manageable. In someone over 50 with already reduced sensitivity, the response is larger, more stressful, and repeated. The liver receives a fructose component and, when overwhelmed, converts it directly into fat particles, specifically triglycerides and VLDL cholesterol, which enter your bloodstream and begin depositing into artery walls. Think of your arteries as the inside walls of a pipe. Clean walls allow smooth, efficient blood flow. Triglyceride deposits narrow those walls. They create rough surfaces where more particles accumulate. Over years, those deposits form plaques. That is dangerous enough on its own, but here is the mechanism that actually kills people. Sugar triggers a process called glycation. Sugar molecules chemically attach to the proteins inside your blood vessel walls, making them stiff, brittle, and fragile. Imagine the inside of your arteries slowly caramelizing. The plaques built on those walls become unstable. When a destabilized plaque ruptures, your body responds immediately by forming a blood clot to seal the break. If that clot blocks blood flow to the heart, the result is a heart attack. If it blocks flow to the brain, the result is a stroke. The entire cascade from daily sugar habits to that clot builds silently, no symptoms for years, and then suddenly, not silently at all, a landmark analysis published in JAMA Internal Medicine followed over 31,000 adults for 15 years and found that those who consumed 25% or more of their daily calories from added sugar had more than double the risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those consuming under 10%. Double the risk from a single dietary pattern. Now, I am going to tell you something that should genuinely make you angry. The food industry is aware that people have started to fear the word sugar, so they hid it, not as a metaphor. Literally, they fragmented it across dozens of different names so that sugar does not appear prominently on the label, and so that the average person scanning ingredients does not recognize what they are reading. Here is how this works in practice. A snack bar marketed as high fiber and heart healthy might list the following in its ingredient panel: brown rice syrup, cane juice, fruit juice concentrate, dextrose, maltodextrin, honey. 6 entries, 6 different names. To an untrained eye, it looks like a diverse ingredient list. To your arteries, it is the same biochemical signal repeated 6 times. Here are the categories you need to memorize starting today. Any word ending in -ose is a sugar signal: dextrose, fructose, sucrose, maltose, glucose, lactose. All of them. Every single one. Any word containing syrup is concentrated sugar: corn syrup, brown rice syrup, malt syrup, tapioca syrup. If it says syrup, treat it as sugar. The natural sounding traps are the most dangerous because they carry the most trust. Agave nectar, evaporated cane juice, fruit juice concentrate, coconut sugar, cane crystals. These names sound clean, unprocessed, even virtuous. Your blood vessels experience the same metabolic pressure from every one of them. Here is the simplest rule I can give you. If a packaged food has a long ingredient list and you spot multiple sugar names in the first 5 ingredients, do not negotiate with it. Your cardiovascular system does not care whether the sugar is organic, natural, or ancient grain. It responds to the biochemical signal. Now, I am going to do something that most people never see done publicly. I am going to name the 10 specific foods that cause the most cardiovascular damage, not because they look dangerous, but because they look healthy. These are the foods people eat daily, often proudly, believing they are protecting their heart. Trap food number 1 is low-fat from yogurt. Flavor disappears with it. To compensate, they add sugar. A single small cup often contains 20 to 25 grams of added sugar, approaching the entire daily limit recommended by the World Health Organization. The low-fat label is accurate. The heart-healthy implication is not. Trap food number 2 is granola bars and energy bars. They are marketed as clean fuel. In reality, many contain more added sugar than a standard chocolate bar. Syrups, honey, fruit concentrates, all layered together and wrapped in packaging that shows mountain peaks and running shoes. These are desserts wearing athletic clothing. Trap food number 3 is 100% fruit juice. This one shocks almost everyone. The process of juicing removes fiber, which is the mechanism that slows sugar absorption in whole fruit. What remains is a concentrated fructose delivery system. A large glass of orange juice produces a blood sugar and triglyceride response nearly identical to a glass of soda. Multiple studies, including a 2020 analysis in the British Medical Journal, found that frequent juice consumption raises cardiovascular risk even in people who avoid other sugary drinks. Trap food number 4 is whole grain breakfast cereal. Many cereals with whole grain stamps on the box contain 12 to 18 grams of sugar per serving. Most people eat 2 servings without measuring. When sugar appears among the first 3 ingredients, your cardiovascular system starts the day under stress. Before you have left the breakfast table, trap food number 5 is low-fat sauces and dressings. When fat is removed from a product, something must replace the flavor. That something is almost always sugar. Barbecue sauce, ketchup, teriyaki sauce, light salad dressings. 1 tablespoon may seem harmless. 3 tablespoons across a meal is a different calculation entirely. Trap food number 6 is commercial whole grain bread. Many breads add sugar to every slice to improve flavor, texture, and shelf life. 2 slices for a sandwich can reach 8 to 10 grams of added sugar before you have added a single topping. Trap food number 7 is sports drinks and flavored waters. Unless you are exercising intensely for more than 90 minutes, these drinks are unnecessary sugar delivery systems, presented as hydration. Electrolytes do not require sweetness. The sweetness is for palatability and sales. Trap food number 8 is dried fruit and trail mixes. Drying concentrates sugar dramatically. Add yogurt coating, chocolate pieces, or sweetened nuts, and the combination delivers a sugar load disguised as something natural. Trap food number 9 is flavored plant milks, vanilla almond milk, chocolate oat milk, sweetened soy milk. Many versions contain 12 to 16 grams of added sugar per glass. The unsweetened versions of these same products are dramatically safer and taste nearly identical once you adjust over 2 weeks. Trap food number 10 is fitness protein products. Protein bars, shakes, and cookies. Many contain 15 to 25 grams of sugar per serving. You are paying a premium price for a vehicle that is primarily delivering sugar with a protein label attached. A large analysis of over 60,000 packaged food products found that nearly 75% contained added sugar, including the majority of items marketed specifically as healthy choices. The scale of this is not accidental. It is the result of decades of deliberate formulation decisions. I want to stop here for a moment. If you are watching this and realizing that multiple foods on that list are things you eat regularly, things you chose specifically because you believe they were good for you, I need you to hear this clearly. You did not fail. You were not careless. You made decisions based on information designed to mislead you. The labeling system that allows a food loaded with 22 grams of added sugar to carry a heart-healthy seal is not an accident of poor regulation. It is the result of decades of deliberate terminology designed to bypass your judgment. You could not have seen this without someone showing you. The people I have worked with who reversed significant cardiovascular risk did not do it with expensive procedures or perfect genetics. They did it by understanding what they were actually eating and making consistent changes from that knowledge. That capacity is available to you right now. Here is a specific, realistic 4-week plan that I use with older adults managing cardiovascular risk. It does not require perfection, it requires consistency. Those are very different things. Week 1 is awareness only. Do not change anything yet. For 7 days, read every label of every packaged food you consume. Write down the grams of added sugar. Do not judge what you find. Just build an accurate picture of where the sugar is entering your day. Knowledge is the foundation of every change that follows. You cannot fix what you have not measured. Week 2, eliminate sugary drinks entirely. This single step produces the fastest measurable cardiovascular benefit of any dietary change I have seen. Replace soda, juice, flavored milk, and sweetened coffee drinks with water, unsweetened tea, black coffee, or sparkling water with a slice of lemon. Within 2 weeks, most people report reduced bloating, more stable energy through the afternoon, and a noticeable reduction in cravings for other sweet foods. This is the change with the highest return on effort. Week 3, fix breakfast and snacks. Choose protein-centered breakfasts. Eggs with vegetables. Greek yogurt, plain, with berries and raw nuts. Unsweetened oats with almond butter. Avocado on whole grain toast with no added sugar in the bread. For snacks, the goal is to stabilize blood sugar, not spike it. A small handful of raw nuts. A piece of whole fruit with nut butter. Hard-boiled eggs. These choices reduce the insulin demand on your pancreas and lower the inflammatory load on your arteries across the entire day. Week 4, cook real meals with real ingredients. Whole foods, short ingredient lists. A useful rule is this: if a packaged product has more than 5 ingredients and includes any sugar name in that list, leave it on the shelf. This is not about never eating anything processed again. It is about making processed food the exception rather than the default. A realistic long-term target for most people is what I call the 9010 approach. Eat in a way that minimizes added sugar 90% of the time. Give yourself genuine flexibility 10% of the time without guilt and without catastrophizing. Your arteries do not require perfection. They require consistency. About the first 2 weeks, many people experience headaches, irritability, and cravings during the initial reduction phase. This is normal and temporary. Added sugar activates the same dopamine reward pathways involved in habit formation, and your brain will push back when that signal is reduced. Research shows cravings drop by 70 to 80% after 30 days of consistent reduction. The first 2 weeks are the hardest. They are also the most important. What happens on the other side of those 2 weeks is measurable. Triglycerides decline, blood pressure improves, fasting glucose stabilizes, energy becomes more consistent, sleep quality often improves, and the cardiovascular risk that had been building silently begins moving in the other direction. Here is what you now know that most people have never clearly connected. Added sugar is not a minor dietary concern. It is a multi-system cardiovascular threat that attacks your arteries from 4 simultaneous angles, driving triglycerides into artery walls, suppressing the HDL that clears those walls, elevating blood pressure through insulin and kidney mechanisms, and creating the chronic inflammation that makes plaques unstable and rupture prone. You now know that the food industry actively disguises this ingredient under dozens of different names so that you do not recognize it. You now know the 10 foods most likely to be delivering hidden sugar to your cardiovascular system under the cover of health claims. You have a 4-week plan that does not require perfection. It requires knowledge applied consistently, and you know that your body, even after years of this exposure, has a remarkable capacity to repair. When the conditions change, inflammation can come down, triglycerides can fall, arterial walls can stabilize. The damage described in this video is not a sentence. It is a starting point. Every better choice from this moment forward moves you in the right direction. Starting tonight, drop a comment right now saying "I informed" if this video answered questions you have been sitting with. That word in the comments tells me you are ready to take your cardiovascular health seriously. Think of one specific person you love right now. Someone who starts every day with orange juice and a heart-healthy granola bar and has no idea what that is doing to their arteries over time. Send them this video right now, not later. That single action might be the most important health decision you make today, not for yourself, but for them. Subscribe to this channel. My mission is to give you the kind of clear, research-grounded health information that most people only encounter after something has already gone wrong. You deserve to know it before that happens. In my next video, I am going to walk through the specific blood markers that predict cardiovascular events up to 10 years before symptoms appear, including ones that most standard checkups do not include, and exactly what to ask your doctor to order. You will want to see that. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as medical advice. Dietary changes should be individualized based on your complete medical history and current health status. Never adjust or discontinue prescribed medications without consulting your healthcare provider. The information presented reflects current published research, but should not replace a thorough evaluation by a qualified medical professional.